I know you're a monster. I know you're a monster.
Foxtrot, do you copy? It's just as we thought. Under the farmhouses are bombs we've never seen before, and they're armed. Same as all, they're getting nauseous and they don't know how. And we're convinced that these are the cause, the radiating gamma rays above. There's 4 of us.
Do, 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 do. Da, 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 da. Man, I actually timed that perfectly.
Yeah,
I just
pretty
listened.
good.
I got the playback and everything on it. And I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, pretty
All right.
good. Not too bad.
And I feel like I'm sitting way too close, but like,
Yeah,
can't really.
I don't know what's going on with your stuff anymore. I feel like it's every week that you do stuff. It's like not the same.
Hey, we're gonna slide the monitor back a little bit. I think I moved the
Sure.
monitor up.
Okay.
Hey, I gotta see. You gotta see more of this chest, the pectacles.
Yeah, I don't need people to see my pectorals.
All right, welcome everybody to Those Two Nerds, episode 81. 81 episodes in the book, streaming every Sunday. Well, when we started out, it was not every Sunday, but it's been every Sunday at 4 p.m. for a very, very long time.
For a long time now.
Yep. And I like the title. I didn't even see the title until now. We are still nerdy. I
We are
did
we are still nerdy.
I did a check this morning, and yeah, it confirms it.
I checked my nerd lubricant and it said that I was full on nerd lube.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like he doesn't even know how to respond to that. I've got
Yeah,
him all fucking flabbergasted
I'm
already.
flustered. I'm
He's like,
honestly,
I don't even know what to say to that.
I'm blushing. So kind of crazy news. Not like news as in like gaming news, but I may have heard from a little birdie that we might be adding someone to the Thursday night campaign.
Oh,
Yeah. It's gonna be like a WWE like surprise entrance.
the Thursday online game that you were kind of like, I don't know, I like it, but I'm having a hard time staying focused. Is this the same game we're talking about?
Yes, same game.
Okay, okay. I
Um,
don't want any spoilers. I have a couple of ideas as to who it could potentially be.
well, I was gonna tell you the whole story.
Okay,
Um, Tadasu Yutari.
nice.
He recently quit his job.
He quit Taco Bell.
Yeah, he
Oh,
quit. He
why?
quit.
Didn't like it, huh?
It wasn't that he didn't like it. There was just like a lot of false promises. Like, basically, I'm gonna go off what I've heard from listening to him is like he pretty much got this promotion. They were supposed to start training with him. They said we'll start training in like 2 weeks. Basically, that didn't happen, and it's been over like 2.5 months. It gets even better. Like he was getting a pay raise with it. So like
Mhm.
it was even like more incentive for, whatever was going on. He was helping out with the third shift and they promised him he would eventually go back. Basically they had him closing every night and when they wanted to reduce his hours, he was thinking he was going to get an extra free day. He was going to finally get his 2-day request off that he wants every week.
Right.
No, they just took an hour off of his schedule on each day.
So, I mean, like, what's he doing for working time now?
So
I
right
mean,
now he
I mean,
is
he's got bills and stuff. He can't.
yeah, so he's door dashing right now.
Okay.
Just for the time being. He said he's going to do it until he finds the job he wants.
Good.
But he did say like I have more free time now, so he's like I'm really going to try to bang out streaming, start streaming more often, and also he says I'm going to think about getting back into Thursday night D&D.
Well, I mean, we have talked about I don't know how many weeks in a row. Like, man, we missed that guy. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it would help and like I said, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, and that's why I said it's kind of like a surprise entrance because it may happen, it may not happen. We'll
yeah.
have to.
Again, I mean, like, you can't make promises and then it not
Yeah,
pan out. So
yeah. So I think he's going to talk with Brandon sometime this week to kind of get a rundown if it's going to be official. So yeah, that's kind of like the crazy news as far as like personal news.
that's exciting. Speaking of D&D news, we started our tabletop session with
Yep,
Dungeon in a Box.
live in person. Yeah.
What'd you think?
So overall, from the player side of things, with the Dungeon in the Box, it feels very like because I was kind of reading off of how you were going off of it, like through the DM side, because I feel like that's where it mainly That's where it's target. That's the target audience, the DM.
Obviously.
So it seemed like you were able to, even without reading the story beforehand or even having a big, huge knowledge about, like, you didn't have to spend hours and hours researching.
No,
It felt like
I kind of briefly glanced through the book.
yeah. So it felt like you could open it up, start diving into the book, start diving into the actual story, and bam! I mean, combat was there. Obviously, some combat that happened wasn't supposed to happen quite yet. Uh, so I think overall, I thought it was really neat. I did like uh, the map slash the traps that were in it.
Hmm.
I felt those were a nice touch, and I think that is the perfect like size campaign to run for like a night. Or I mean, if you obviously if you want to make the continue along with the story, that's a great little I would say probably closer to a 4 to 5 hour session,
Yeah, I would agree because
depending on the group. Depending on the group.
they touted it as like a one shot, right? And
Yep.
to me, my experience with a one shot is something that you can get done in like 3 to 4 hours, and then you're it. That's it, or less. And to me, and that's really been my only gripe. It wasn't the components. I thought all of the components were really nice. I mean, for what you got, everything is custom for the game that you're playing.
Yeah.
So everything matters. Everything they give you matters in some degree of all the and like you guys didn't even see all of the items. I didn't even show you all of the items, but all of the
Mhm.
items in the box are relevant to that specific game that you're playing. So the little skinny miniatures that they give you, they are relevant to characters that you are going to encounter. The two actual 3D miniatures that they gave you are relevant to, well, you saw the one, the dragon skull hermit crab.
Yeah.
They also give you a skinny mini version of that character if maybe you don't like the 3D minis or whatever, but you have it, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
custom miniature that they came up with. So,
I
um,
I think it's great. I really do. I mean, like I said, all the components to it. Um, I think it's there. I mean, I really do. I think it's definitely worth the money. I think the price point that you said it was I think it's right where it needs to be. Because
yep,
if you go out and buy a map at the store, it's probably going to cost you a few bucks.
yeah.
If you go out and buy the miniatures, we'll say $6 a piece, $7 a piece. I don't even know how much miniatures cost.
It
I'm just
depends on what you're buying,
throwing
but
out the number. Obviously, if you're buying a badass fucking statuette dragon, like it's going to cost you a little more than $6. But if you're
yeah,
buying a little figurine, it's not going to cost you too much.
yeah.
I think the map, the overall story, I think this is a perfect starter set for D&D.
I agree. I think that it's really good for players as like their first experience.
Yeah.
It gives you a little bit of everything. Now, I will say that it is not a good first experience if you've never DM'd before.
Okay.
But we'll say that you got the Lost Mines of Phandelver or you got the Essentials kit and you've ran through that and you want to expand and move on, but you're
Mhm.
still not ready for maybe tackling one of the big monster books like Tomb of Annihilation or Curse of Strahd or, Waterdeep or Dungeons of the Mad Mage, You're not ready for that because that's a long commitment. This kind of gives it to you
I agree.
in digestible pieces of I know that this box when it comes in, I can probably do this in 2 or 3 sessions.
So with that, I mean, with that kind of knowledge, I think you are right. I think this is a good in between for the essential kit to the bigger books.
Hmm.
Obviously because like I said, it's paced. I feel
There,
like with
there, there was like no tiddlywinking around, right? Like you guys started off in the dungeon.
yeah,
It
I
was
mean,
it was like, let's go, boys. It's time to go treasure hunting.
yeah, fuck the bar scene. We're not into that. We're not trying to pick up wenches. Like we're just trying to go kill some bugs and
And
do
and
all the
I think that a good session zero could have alleviated some of that, like how you guys know each other, why you guys are adventuring, why you're questing together. But I think sometimes people get so wrapped up in that to tell like a cohesive narrative that you can spend 2 or 3 sessions just talking about how you
so
guys know each other or even why you're adventuring.
so
Who
this is what
cares? Who
I will
cares at
say
that point?
this. This is kind of from the player side, from my opinion. it with basically what you did. So I mean, prior to playing, you sent out a text that basically was like a general knowledge, like, "Hey, we're skipping over that whole, hey Billy, oh hi Billy, you know, he likes to do arts and crafts." Like we got past that point. It was, "Hey, here's the basic moral of the story. Everybody's on this hunt for this star. Um, yada yada yada. Grant you a wish." Like with that knowledge prior, it made my backstory 2 times easier because I said, if you can get a backstory down
Yeah.
that correlates on why you're on this adventure, makes it 10 times easier. You skip the
Yep.
whole bar scene, and again, it even throws in the facts when you're doing the summary of it. You know, it can be used for good, evil, whatever. You know, like you could have all the power in the world, and it's just one wish. Um, I thought personally it allowed me to dive more into the backstory. It made it definitely an easier setup for the backstory. I mean, you get your classic quote unquote selfish villain,
Mhm.
even though he's part of the team. But again, you know that along the journey that you're going to be fighting people all day long, and people want the star.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that is the goal is to star, and like I said, I think for the overall narrative, you can always go back and talk about like me and so, we've been best friends forever, or we went on this quest to go do something, and then we ran into these other guys, and that's how we know each other. You can make it
Yep.
up. I don't. It doesn't even have to be factual. I don't even care. I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm the DM. I let you guys start at level 2.
Yeah.
But when you look at DMs like Matt Mercer on Critical Role, when he sets up the like the backstories and the introductions to all of the characters, he has to tell a cohesive story from start to finish, and I think that that's great when you can do it, when it's done right. But like most of the time, it's one of the hardest things to pull off,
Oh yeah.
is doing all that intro stuff and making it interesting for your players. But you can spend a session or two just doing that, or you can spend like half of your first session doing that and you're not getting to do anything. To me, I was like, let's get into the part of the game that you guys want to do. I
Oh
think that the background story and the introductions and everything are cool, but I also think that you can lose a lot of time with that. Like, get you into the dungeon, you guys will fill in all the back pieces later.
yeah.
So
I
yeah, I
mean,
think
I
I
agree.
think overall I'm excited to see the second adventure, but you guys aren't even done with the first adventure. I'll be really honest with you. As far as pacing, like I said, there's no way I feel that you could get this done in like
So
one night.
I
No
agree.
way.
I mean, I agree with that. But I think it's all about how long your sessions are.
Sure.
Um, Obviously, if you're playing for 8 hours, there's some people out there that play for 8 hours once a month.
Sure.
You're gonna get this box done. If you're not, I don't know. You're doing something wrong as the DM slash as the
Based
player.
based off of what I've seen so far, yeah, I'd say it's probably a 6 to 8 hour to get through all of it. It would take between 6 to 8 hours, I would guess. That's if you did everything, if you didn't skip any of the content, and if
Yeah.
you are running a group like I run with a bunch of murder hobos who want to kill everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, 6 to 8 hours. But yeah, it was good.
I
Uh,
think. Yeah. I was
I, I
impressed.
I think final verdict. Yeah, I think it's good. I don't regret the decision to purchase it. It opens up our options for a lot more like smaller narrative adventures. That this one just also happens to unfold into a bigger story if you
Yeah.
want to continue it. So,
I will
yeah,
say,
overall it was
over
good.
out of 10.
For me, I think the components were, I mean, probably a 9. I could have done with a little bit more color in the books, but that's a minor gripe. I think that the story is easily a 9. It was interesting. Like right off the bat, I go, I could see that as being cool. And delivery time was fine. I thought the box itself was cool. I'd say I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. There are things I would maybe do
That's
different.
actually higher than my rating. I was gonna
Yeah,
go with an 8.5.
I think that there are some things I would do maybe slightly different, but especially when because you haven't read the book, there are parts of the story that I would have given a little bit more clear direction on how to start, especially if you're kind of gearing this towards new DMs. I had
Mhm.
to kind of make some stuff up, but it worked. You guys are having a good time, but
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's
still out of a product that is not like officially licensed by Wizards of the Coast. It's not one of
uh,
their stories. Like I felt like it did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you don't need an improv class like before you get
Mm-mm.
into this thing. I thought, like I said, I thought it was great. I think the overall quality and what you get is top notch. I think it's good. I
Yeah,
really do.
yeah,
I don't think that you got gypped at all.
mm-mm.
And like I said, I think the price point is spot on where it needs to be.
Yeah,
I think if it was more, I'd probably definitely lower the rating because I feel like it's just like, there's certain things like I'm going to be doing this quote unquote every month for X amount of time frame.
yep.
Um, say it's a $60. I don't know what the hell's going on right now on my Twitch thing, so I'm just gonna turn it off. It just went like all cyborg on me. Um, like paying that $60 fee every single time. And again, as a new person starting out, you gotta try to make your product. If you can keep your product within a price of a book range,
Yeah,
but it comes with not only a story, but the miniatures for that little side story and the map, I think you're in the ballpark of a great product.
yeah.
Like
I agree.
some people will pick this product up before they pick up a curse. Well, we'll just say Curse of Strahd was the same price. They'd pick up that box before they would pick up the book.
Well, I mean, like you said, Curse of Strahd is like it's a big commitment. Like if you pick up Curse of Strahd, th- you have to figure out how to do everything in Curse of Strahd. So I would not say that it's like a. I don't think any of the Dungeons and Dragons adventure books are really what I would call beginner friendly.
Yeah,
And honestly, they should in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and this has always been one of my biggest gripes. They give you a lot of really good ideas for like how to be a dungeon master and what to do as a dungeon master, but they don't really tell you how to
do
be a
it.
dungeon master. They
Yeah,
don't really tell you how to run one of those adventures. So like when you get one of those books, a lot of times in the olden days, and it's not like this now, but a book would basically be like do this part, this is how you should do this. This little piece of narrative
give it
happens.
give it 5 years, and I promise you, every book will say like there's going to be a how-to section, and it's just going to be a picture of Matt Mercer, and it says Google Critical Role.
And
And this is
but
this is how you DM.
but at the same time, I understand why they don't. Now, I've had a
Yeah,
lot of people I read a lot, and they're like, "Oh, we ran this adventure, and it was great." And I've also tried to run that adventure, and I'm like, I don't understand how you guys knew how to get from point A to point B. Like my group had no idea what they were supposed to do, and I feel like I did everything that I was supposed to do, and they wandered around for 2 sessions with no idea what they were supposed to do. So
no, you
I
just tell
I
them. You just
think
tell them
that
like every time they roll even a one, it's just like, oh my god, you found the buried treasure.
the
Go
the thing
here.
with those books is a lot of times is that they're not linear, right? Like
Yeah,
they are basically here's a story, here's a bunch of plot points. You kind of pick out the stuff that you want, and then you got to kind of weave that into your own story. But they don't really
yes.
tell you how to do that, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, well, that's the thing. There's things that your group is going to do that you can't plan for. You just can't. I mean, and that is, I would say, the hardest job of the DM slash. It's the most do or die moment for the DM. You have a good DM when something crazy, something off the wall, like your team wants to basically stop the red wedding type call. And like you didn't plan for that, like they shouldn't even know this information, but for some odd reason they have this itch up their ass that makes them think that something bad's gonna happen, and they attack the guards,
Yeah.
like full on blown attack, like because it's happened in our campaign. It just has. Like everybody's
It,
thinking that
it
this guy's
it actually happened 2 weeks ago when you weren't there, and I told you it kind of turned into the How I Met Your Mother episode of Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like,
yeah.
I can't believe you missed that session.
So
Out of all the sessions that you were gonna miss, that's the one that you would have had the most fun in.
but again, in those situations, it's the do or die moment for the DM because if you can make a great session out of it, make this killer epic session off of something that should have never happened, you become like you're great in the eyes of the players. And I think that's the big thing. I think DMing itself, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of guides on YouTube on how to DM, but I don't think any of those guides from what I've watched, because like I said, I've been wanting to get into DM. I don't think the guides tell you enough
They don't.
about the unexpected
They
and
don't.
how to play off the unexpected. Because I feel like you could have these plot points of, oh, is it an attack unexpected? Like you didn't expect them to attack somebody. Okay, play it off this way, or
But again, you have to have kind of
they're
like
going down the right road
you
and
kind
they
of
should
have
have
to
went down the
have
left.
consequences for those actions too, right? So like your party, they decide that they're going to pick a fight with a bunch of guys in a bar, and they don't just fight them, they murder them. They murder like an entire bar of people because of a misunderstanding. You think that like nothing happens? Like there's no consequences to those actions?
Nobody saw
Like
it. Nobody saw it.
no
No
nobody
witnesses.
saw that you guys just killed 17 people in a bar, right? Like so again, those are the things I think that they don't tell you, but you still have to try and get them back on course, right? Like you got to get them back on the way of your adventure. A lot of players prefer stuff when it is a little bit more linear, like when they know that they have a point A to point B that they are supposed to travel, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of other players who do not like when the adventure is linear. They want to be able to go and fight 17 people in a bar and kill them all. Like they want to be able to do that, and they want the DM to know everything that is potential for it to happen after that.
All I think about is like anytime you get a path, like you can go down the right path or you can go down murder hobo path. Like
Murder
I
hobo path.
I always think of that Robot Chicken. It was like the big popular one with like Mario, Luigi, and like Yoshi. And Yoshi drives down Sin City, goes through like Resident Evil town type stuff. Like I'm like that's as us. Like you could have went the right way, but you were like nah.
And
So,
again, I've watched a lot of these guides on how to do DMing, because DMing from second and third edition really are a lot different. I skipped over fourth edition entirely,
yeah,
but they really are a lot different than when we were gaming back then. So fifth edition is just, it's different. It's a different animal. Like I said, the books a lot of times used to kind of tell you, do this, do this, do this. Now they don't. It's like this book, and it's got a whole story in it,
yeah.
and I'll be fucked if you don't have to read this entire book. And it's usually like at least a couple hundred pages of book, right?
Yeah.
Between backstory and stat tables, and no one can remember all that unless you have a photographic memory. So your
So we need a
first
Sheldon.
goal,
We need a Sheldon.
your first goal as a DM is to, one, find the adventure that you want to play, either one that you're making up or one that you're going to do from a book. Then you have to read the entire book, like the entire book. If you don't, you're going to miss key points to the story. Like you won't understand what's going on. You're like, okay, well I read chapter 1, let's do this. But you needed to read all the way through chapter 6, because in chapter 6 it tells you the motivations and the scheming behind what's going on in chapter 1. So like again, I think these books are great if you don't try to play them as a linear thing. If you kind of look at it almost like, all right, here's all these really cool ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use these elements and kind of put them in my story, and don't even think you're going to plan the whole game out, because like you said, your players are going to come in and they're going to either not have no idea what they're supposed to do, or they're going to go off a path that you weren't prepared for, and you still ultimately have to take these plot points and somehow get them back on track.
For sure.
So
I agree. I agree.
It's difficult, and like I said, I mean I've been DMing a long time, and I've never actually made it through one of the adventure books. I have all the adventure books. I've read several of them, but I feel like sometimes they are. I also am not patient enough, right? Like I don't really want to sit there and read a 200 or 300 page book before we start playing, because I don't have a lot of time, and that's bullshit. Like when you're the DM, you have to read and prepare so much more than any other person.
I know. Every week I just sign on and I'm like, oh, there's my character sheet.
You show up and you might have put a little bit of thought into like, oh, hey, I might turn level 6 this week, so maybe I'll look and see what my next level abilities are, kind of have an idea of what I want. But you don't give a fuck, right? Like you show up and you play. The DM, if they don't have everything prepared, if they're not running a very linear game, they have to basically turn the game into what happened from the last time that you guys played. So if you did go on a murder hobo spree, they have to figure out what the ramifications of that action are going to be. So like it's hard, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And again, ultimately as a DM, the story is not your story. No matter what you think, the story is your player's story. And all you really are a lot of times is just a referee for the rules, you know? And if your players are creative, reward that. If they come up with something that's like completely off the wall, and this is something I've actually learned a lot from watching Matt Mercer, is when their characters are describing something that they want to do, I'm like, that's not really something that it says that you can do in the book, but it does fall in line with what their character would do. Like when the one girl is describing what her monk does in combat, she's like, all right, so then I'm going to take my stick and kind of like do this like, hiya, kick off. I mean, I would go, well, I don't know, you can't do that. Like back in the day, that's what I would have said. But now I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, all of this, she's still doing an unarmed strike. She's just kicking this dude in the face
you would think
instead of punching them.
You would think as a monk you have some kind of training, so there's not something like, and as long as it's not too robust of a move, like spinning dragon crane kick, like nah, it's like I bounce off my staff like a 4-year-old could do the kick. Just about the power.
But I like that the characters a lot of times they kind of describe some or most of their attacks, like a little bit. It adds to the narrative, right? It kind of gets you into you can kind of picture it and visualize it, because again, they are telling a story. They are telling the story through words, and it's a lot more interesting to hear like, well, I take my little diamond thing and I swirl it around like this, and these little ice shards shoot out, and then I shoot it at the guy. That sounds cooler than, all right, I roll a 15. Is that hit? Sweet. Take 4. Like it's cooler.
And Charlie, you're up next.
But I get it. Some players are just not into that, and
sure.
It's I will say that if you want to learn a lot about DMing, there's a lot of things that Matt Mercer does that are great, and there's a lot of things that the average person just can't do.
Oh yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah. I like it. So kind of switching points. The MTG Open.
Yeah, the February MTG Open.
February MTG Open. Our legendary hostess with the mostest. Nictus plays games. Went out there with high hopes. So how did it go this weekend? Give us the rundown.
So
I know you streamed.
The MTG Open was on Saturday, and it was pretty much all day, and it was unlimited. You could try as many times as you wanted to. To qualify for day 2, you had to hit, depending on the tournament you were playing in, the one I played in mostly was you had to hit 7 wins before you got 3 losses. If you got 7 wins, you got a little token that said you qualified for day 2. I've never qualified for day 2 in one of these things because it's typically like a constructed format. Like you saw the aftermath. Like the one time I played in I don't know how many of the events, I got trounced every time in like the first round, and I never even came close. And it was just like mirror matchup after mirror matchup. I'm playing the same deck these guys are playing and just getting destroyed. So
yeah.
I hate constructed. I'd rather play limited, and this was a limited event. So I had some gems that I had bought that I was going to do kind of like and I kind of treated this more like my own little pre-release event, even though it wasn't. The set's been out for a little while. And all week leading up to this, right, like I had taken some of my free tokens from the season pass and stuff, and I've been like playing some sealed, and I'm like, yeah, I was doing pretty good. I was finishing like 5 and 3s and, 6 and 2s. And, I'm feeling pretty good about it, right? Like I was feeling pretty good about Kaldheim. And then, so the event opens up, and I joined my first tournament, and I just smash. Just get destroyed.
He's like, damn it.
And I'm on stream, right? So like, I'm 2 or 3 hours into this. I've played 4 matches, like 4 tournament entries, not matches. Like I have entered to play in this thing 4 times, right? And I think I won 1 game in 4 tournament things. And you get to, it's 3 losses each time, right? So that means I have lost like 12 to, I don't know, 15 times at this point. So I'm just like, all right, I'm just turning off the stream because I'm getting mad. So I went upstairs. I've spent like 20,000 gems or something, like, I don't know how many. It was a lot. And I was like, all right, I guess all the best players in the world are playing right now, and I just can't win no matter what happens. So, I went upstairs, ate some waffles, and I cried a little bit. It was fine. But yeah, it was the worst stream I think I've ever done, because like it started out hopeful, and then it just turned into me just bitching and complaining for like an hour and a half of like, I just don't understand. Like, I know I'm not bad at Magic. Like I play all the time. I know I'm not bad. So I was about I think it was probably about 9 o'clock. I got back on. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try one more time. And it did not start out well. It started going the exact same way that it had went earlier. I threw together this like red, blue, green deck with like giants and some green creatures, and I felt good about it. Like I had some good cards. I actually opened up 3 mythic rares, only 2 of which were playable. So I'm like, watch, this is just how my day is going. I got 3 mythic rares, 2 of them are on color, and I'm still gonna lose. It's not gonna matter.
You're gonna get dunked on, yeah.
So I go out, and yep, sure enough, first 2 games, it's like it was like the little league high school basketball team against the LA Lakers, right? Like just just destroyed. I was like, I'm not even coming close to winning. So I looked at my deck and I changed up the land. And when I say I changed it, I think I swapped 1 green for a blue. That's like the only thing I did different. And I come back into game 3 and then I won. And then I come into game 4 and I won. And then before you know it, I've won 6 matches in a row. And I'm like, I don't know how that happened. So now I'm in a situation of it's the last thing. It's
You either win or lose.
I'm at 6-2. I'm either going to win the last one and go to the qualify thing, or I'm going to lose. And it was a squeaker. Yeah, it was it was a squeaker. I was as low as 2 life in the final game, and that was the best game I played all night. Was that game, and it could have went either way. And I'm sure that guy that I was playing was probably
Not
upset. Probably upset,
I mean,
but it's all right.
Hey, you
So,
got it done. That's all that matters.
I got hyped. I sent out the text last night. I'm like, hey, I qualified for the day 2 of the thing. And Aaron's like, cool. So how much money did you spend? And I'm like, we're not talking about that. We're not going to even discuss that.
I mean, because I couldn't remember if it was one of those things where it was unlimited entries. And I mean, I figured it would, just because it is online, and online goes 10 times faster.
Way faster.
Like, that's why there's only like 3 events a day max at most stores, just because
It just takes so long. Every round is 50 plus minutes.
Yep.
And then and in this is probably, I think, my biggest gripe with Arena is that you can't really do that like bracket structure. So like when you draft, right? You're in a pod with 8 people and you're drafting. But then you build your deck and then you're playing against people who weren't even in your draft pod. Like, I don't like that, because that's kind of the whole point of the draft, right? Sealed deck is a little bit different because it doesn't matter. Everyone's opening up a bunch of cards and you just go play. But I don't know. So they can't really
have harder.
They can't have that like tournament bracket without, it's got to be 50 minutes rounds, and then you're gonna have where the people don't show up to their thing on time, and then like this is just kind of play at your own pace. And but yeah, it was cool. So I got on today and played in day 2. Got up at 9 a.m. And I won my first 2 matches with this deck that basically was a big steaming pile, and it really was. And then my next match, I had to mull down to 5 game 1, and I was on the play and had to mull down to 4 in game 2. So needless to say, I lost that match. And then the second match I played, this guy's deck just went off. I mean, he had answers to every single thing I played. His deck was just fast, and I died.
Too quick. It's too quick. I didn't see him.
I was like, how do you already have like a 5/5 creature down on like turn 2? It wasn't quite that fast, but it felt that fast. So
like, too fast, too furious.
Yeah, so we finished 2-2. I didn't have a losing record, so
yeah. I mean, like I said, I
feel okay with that.
I'd be pretty happy with that. I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed. I mean, it comes down to a lot of things. Like, there's so many people out there that never make day 2, because 7 wins is still, it's an impressive feat in its own right.
I think it is.
I mean, I would say 60% of the people that entered in did not have a winning record. Like, if they only entered in 1 time, they did not have a record, like a winning record, because that's essentially what it is.
You got to think if all right, so they're giving out cash prize to 7 wins and 6 wins the next day, and obviously not everyone can get 7 wins, so they're gonna. We'll say that, I don't know how many people are playing, but we'll just throw out hypotheticals here. We'll say that 5,000 people made it to day 2. We'll just say, I don't know how many it was. It could have been way more. It could have been way less. I got to remember that the game's on a grand scale. Well, half of those people at least are not going to make it to 7-0, right?
No, they're not even. Yeah,
At least half.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't know.
I would say the average probably today get snags 4 wins. 4 wins
Yeah,
max.
yeah,
The
I
average
think.
the average is probably 3 to 4, and then after that point, like you're golden. Like I mean, it's just like I said. But when you play in those matchups, it's no different than any kind of tournament format. When you hit those every time you win, like for me, I always like tournaments where I started out bad. Like start out 0-2 because you're gonna go play somebody that still hasn't got a win yet, and then that's when the steamroll just starts to begin. You start to come up on the bracket, start dunking on kids.
There's nothing more like frustrating though. I mean, you remember from playing where you have a deck and you feel really good about it, and then you go out and your deck does everything you want it to do. Like
And then just get still beat.
it's rolling over people. It does everything you want it to do. You're 5-0, right? You're going into the last 2 rounds to win out because you got to hit that undefeated thing to win out, and then you just get dunked on, and you're like, I would have rather lost the first 2 or 3 rounds and then
Just get out just so I could have gone
signed up for
home.
another tournament instead of
Yeah.
having to like sit here for all day. Like that happened to me at state championships back in, I don't remember what year it was. It was a long time ago. So I mean,
I think that's
it
really
was
what I want.
10 rounds of Swiss standard. 10
That
rounds, bro. It was forever.
that's really what I want to do once Magic stores to open it back up again. Is I
Yeah,
want to
I
get back
miss
into draft and stuff like that. Just
I miss drafting.
even if it's only once a week. Like I'm not really. I think it'd just be fun, something to do. But
Yeah, I mean, since like you're not really a constructed player, you could probably just open up your cards, draft, and then take all your stuff and just sell it. Like, because you don't want the cards, right? You don't care about the cards, so
um,
you just want to play.
so overall, what's your final thoughts about your arena performance this weekend?
Um,
Your
it
own
was
person.
it was good. I feel that I learned a lot, but about this particular set, and I also learned that man, there's a lot. I think Magic honestly is easier now than it ever was. I think that because people couldn't have changed that much and gotten that much better at the game, and
Between the dry runs you can run online,
mm-hmm.
obviously repetition is the most important thing. I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can build the same deck I'm going to take to Friday Night Magic that week, and I can play it 1,000 times before I even get there. And I know the deck. Like you could realistically pick up a new deck and have it completely learned and like quote unquote mastered by the time Friday Night Magic hits.
Yeah, you could because you can get enough games in, right?
Oh, for sure.
You can get enough actual like practice games in,
And if
and even like mini tournaments on there you can play for gems and stuff. With
and if
like
you're high ranked, and
2 out of 3, get some cool sideboarding practice in and stuff too. And I
if
think
you're
that's really honestly where people struggle the most is with sideboarding. My problem really is deck
if you're high
building.
ranked, you'll touch a lot of the top 8 decks that
Yeah.
you're going to play out on Friday night. So
Yep.
I mean, like I said, it's all about the reps that you just get.
I find that my frustration a lot with trading card games in general is it's even more frustrating now than I think it ever was. Like I said, it just seems like Magic's a lot easier than it ever was, right?
Yeah.
Because even people who I would say aren't good at games are able to play Magic and play it pretty well. And sometimes the cards just play themselves. Like you don't
Yeah.
you,
We've
you
all
don't
played
even
those.
you
We've
don't
all
have
played
to
those
be
decks,
that
though.
good. Like you just play the cards, and if as long as you get land, like it does what you need it to do. And
Sure.
when I was playing, there was a little bit more intricacy and combos, and you had to think. No offense to people now, but I feel like the game was harder when I was playing, and I
It
think
probably was.
I think that
Probably was.
I think it was a better game, but I understand why they've kind of evolved it into what it is now. Like they had to, or the game was not gonna, it wouldn't still be around. But the same thing with like Pokemon and stuff, right? Like I watch these actual like I get online and play Pokemon online, and then I remember why I don't play Pokemon online anymore. So like every person you play has all those like gigantic full art VMAX giant basic guys, and you're over here playing. I'm gonna play my 50 hit point Pikachu, and then that is smash your first 3 guys you drop and you lose. So you have no chance of knocking that guy out because you don't have anything like that. And then if you happen to have one, you don't have the right one, right? Like it'll be weak to the guy that they're playing with, and you just get smashed. I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. So, and
Yeah,
I think that's it for like collectible and tradable like trading card games. Is
for sure.
it's it's just it's just different than when we were playing, right? So
Oh, for sure. I mean,
like
I
more
agree.
hardcore. So I'm
I
really
agree.
into like the living card games right now. But overall, the arena open it was fun.
I agree.
So
So while you were doing that this weekend, I actually got a game that I was not gonna get. I wasn't really impressed from streams I was watching, but Valheim, the open world Minecraft Rust had a baby type game. I started playing it. I
there
pl-
there have been like I would say over the last couple of years, there's been like one of those that seems like every couple of months that comes out, and
uh,
it's like a
it
relatively
fades into the
inexpensive
mist.
game, and then it just disappears. Like
Yeah.
there was Fall Guys, and then there was I think Phasmophobia was another one, and then
Oh yeah. I think well
Rust. Like Rust is now fading into obscurity too. Like no one cares about that either.
so I think the big thing with like Rust and stuff like Rust is still sticking around because Rust has done a lot of changes to help out the game. Um, it's all about how fast you can push out. If you're gonna have a game pop off, so like Valheim's biggest thing that can lead to their success or their defeat is how much they improve the overall game. How much do they add more? Because I feel like right now, so like we grinded last night 12 hours. I
Mm.
mean, 12-hour grind session, and it wasn't. We had 7 people working on projects. We had people out here getting trees for the house. We had people over here getting ore. We had people over here discovering these dungeons and building up their fighting skills. And in 12 hours, like there was definitely some highlights. I wish I was streaming the whole boat ride situation, like when we're fighting the big ass sea serpent. Like that was badass. Um, the map's huge. I mean, we have. I would say right now, if I had to put it in like a percent of map we've discovered in the 12-hour time frame we played, maybe 3% of the map
Hmm.
over 12 hours. And they've like put time into the game before we joined, like over 30 hours. And we've only discovered 3% of the map.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've
It
heard some good things about the game. I think
graphically, don't buy into this game if you're looking for graphics. I
well,
will say that.
the game's $20. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you want?
Well, like I said, it's a big sandbox. It's $20 price tag, and it's Valheim. For Jess. It's a great game. I highly recommend it. But it is a game that I could definitely see if you don't have people to play with. So I think the server right now max limit is 10 people total. You need friends. Uh, it's a blast. I've had a blast playing it. It's been some of the most fun I've had in a while, and I'm a big Minecraft advocate. Like I always get in these 2 week intervals where I'm like, I can not stop playing Minecraft. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's I think with a lot of things though, right? Especially games like this, like these games are much better when you have friends to play with. And this game more specifically because it is just
yeah,
PvE.
yeah,
It's you versus the entire game world, right?
yeah.
So it has that sense of like a World of Warcraft type game, but without all
Mhm.
the extra players.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, because they built a house and defeated their first boss.
I mean, you've
So
got me kind of hyped. Like, I wish you guys had let me know, but I was in the middle of doing magic. I mean,
so
I might have bought in for $20 to try it.
so we're still playing. Like we plan on playing tonight. Well, like pretty much right when I get done with this podcast, like I'm pretty much going to probably be playing. So if you are interested, we'd be happy to have you.
Okay, I want to kill bosses.
Like I said, it took us 12 hours to find the second boss because
Is there like classes within the game?
no. So
No.
you basically level up your skills. Like you have skills in swimming, running, um, all this stuff. There's a ton of stuff you can level up, like being good with axes, being good with clubs. maces, all this stuff.
Is there a skill for being good with talking shit?
That's a personal skill though.
Because I would be
We
the best at
we
it.
give you points just for doing that.
Okay. Because
But
I want to be the best at that.
but yeah, so overall, like we found out there was portals in the game, like way too late into the game. Like we're sitting here walking everywhere. We're like, we could have built fucking portals. like, but like I said, it's a great game. Highly recommend, and it does still have the Minecraft server type thing where the host of the server, if they're not on, you can't play.
You know, I'm kind of okay with that though, right? Because why would you want to play without the people that you're playing with anyway?
So we have 3 people on right now playing, and they're just like, well, that's the crazy thing. So say you go out and do stuff for the day. Like you can't make enough progress to really make a big dent. Like you may come back and they're like, guys, we have enough to make 1 set of armor. Yay!
Go
yeah, like
team!
yeah.
Yay!
So it's been really fun. Like I said, the overall map, um, sailing on the ship yesterday was it was one of the craziest moments. I mean, we're sitting there dying when we're on our rafts, like laughing as hard as we can because I can't drive the boat. The other guy's like sailing all the way past me. We're throwing rocks at their boat to try to break it so they drown in the water. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. So if you are interested in playing, just let me know. I'll get you in our server.
I'm gonna have to take a look at. I want to see some more of it before I decide.
So
It's not even an issue of the money. You know me, I'll
I will
spend money
be
on almost anything. So
I will be streaming it tonight for 4 hours tonight. So I will hope to see you there. Then plug the stream, twitch.tv/fearcoach, Twitch Prime.
yeah, I actually ended up streaming Magic yesterday for like 3 hours, and then I streamed today for almost a little like 2.5 hours. Like that's a lot of streams for me in like
I'm so proud of you.
in like the span of 2 days. So I think I'm gonna start focusing a lot of my content, honestly, my streaming content on Magic and
You should.
games like Divinity and Baldur's Gate because I like games like that. Even though I'm really frustrated at Divinity, so I fired that up before we came on the air, and I forgot how to play. Right, like I'm real far in the game. I have no idea what I was doing, so I went and I was like, I went into this arena. I'm like, yeah, I'll fight you. I don't care. Got my ass whooped. I was like, oh, that was a mistake. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, like I said, Valheim for me has been really exciting. We're playing more tonight. And like I said, it's all about your group. But it's the same way with Minecraft. I used to hate playing Minecraft by myself.
It's
And
not a
then
fun solo game, but the
well, when
second that you add even one more person, that game opens up and it's a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that was really my hype point of the day. Like that's all I really wanted to talk
I think
about.
that it's kind of neat that there's a few more games like that whole kind of like because I like the whole idea of like an MMO where you can get online and play with your friends and run around and like do stuff, whether it's do quests or build stuff like Minecraft. And I don't think that there's enough games like that because
No.
I don't need to pair up with a bunch of strangers. I really don't. I'd rather just
No.
play with a bunch of my friends. I don't have a lot of friends,
See,
but I
see,
like more games like that.
I hope they add a feature like that. Like I hope they have like basically a section where like obviously you can have your closed private custom game where you can just play with your boys, the homeboys. But I hope they also add like a PvP PvE side of it to where like there's fresh resets on the servers and stuff like that. Um and give it that Rust vibe to it to where they can actually, say you have 100 people on one big map and then you could go around sailing to go take over these other people's houses and like try to raid them. I feel like that would be cool because I've always wanted a game like that. Um and that's my thing. Like so Rust does that now where they'll have these big server wide resets. But I think in this game you can't do something like that because the materials and the grind factor is so much unless you did like a reset probably I would say every 3 months or something like that. But then you never get to explore the content. All what the game has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
I
I'm,
mean,
I'm
and you can't complain about the $20 price tag, right? Like,
oh no.
a lot of times we on this channel we complain a lot about why is this game cost this much? We don't understand. This should be like a $40 game. or this should
Yeah.
be like a $22 game at the most, and why is this game $60? We're talking about Nintendo right now.
Yeah.
Because all their games, for whatever reason, they feel like they should be $60. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. I'm gonna have to check out the Valheim, even though I have not
I
done much Assassin's Creed, but I've been
so
playing Kaldheim, so I'm kind of in like the whole
so
Viking thing right now.
I will be streaming it tonight. And a lot of my content will be going towards that. I actually got a GeForce Experience clip from last night when we beat the Elder, which is the second boss in the game.
You
There's
gotta
only like
you gotta you gotta upload that shit.
yeah, so I mean, I didn't get the whole video because it was a long fight. Um, we died. We came back, picked up our gear while one person was still aggroing the boss, keeping his health where it was at. And we've been building up like we had the 4 archers and the 2 tanks like meta going on. Like, all right, we're gonna off tank this. As soon as he spawns the roots, you gotta aggro him. There's no aggro in the game, by the way. There's like it's not like you can taunt him. No, it's just like you gotta try to pull aggro somehow. So like we're sitting there shooting flaming arrows at him. We had 3 people run out of arrows in the fight. So you have one guy like running over to the corner, splitting off his arrows, trying to hand him off. Like, here's more. Like I have some, and we got him down, and it was pretty cool. Like I'm pretty sure it caught all the Discord audio too.
Nice.
So like, so you can hear everybody like,
Yeah,
yeah, let's go.
you'll have to post that.
Yeah. So, um, but yeah,
Let's
I
see.
mean, playing some more.
So you're doing Valheim tonight.
Yes.
I'm gonna be like I said. I'm gonna check it out, see what's going on with that, see what the rest of my evening looks like. I
I
may
think
or may not jump in with that because I don't know. I've been kind of wanting to play something sort of with other people. I play a lot of games by myself, so.
so. So yeah, I was gonna say my stream schedule for the week is Valheim tonight, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Obviously, if our host can be there. If our host can't be there, it's gonna be a short night. He said he
So
only.
yeah, the game plan is I'm gonna play this night, but he only is gonna show up once. So
So
no
well,
games
I've
for
even
me.
thought about starting up my own server, like
I
having
don't.
multiple servers.
It is actually Zelda's 35th anniversary today, and leave it up to Nintendo to not make any kind of announcement at all. Like I said,
No, man, you should just know.
I told people, right, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I was like, Nintendo is, if you're hoping for some big major announcement for Zelda at the Nintendo Direct, it's not going to happen. And guess what? I was right. It didn't happen. And while we're on the subject of that, I think we'll cover some news, and then I think we'll wrap it up because I know you want to get on to do all time. Nintendo Direct this week was disappointing. For anybody that watched it, they announced like 2 games I care about and a bunch of stuff no one cares about, and a
Yeah,
bunch of rehashes of stuff we already knew about. So,
I
but
I think it was the same. I think overall, like I didn't even watch it.
I did.
And
I
I
watched the
didn't.
entire 50-minute presentation.
I watched the highlights of it, and I was the same with you. After watching, I'm like, me, me, me,
I mean, the thing that I'll give them credit
me.
for is some of these games that they put out there. I mean, leave it to Nintendo. They did put time out there and like highlight and spotlight some of these games that otherwise people wouldn't have never heard of. I still don't care about them, but
Yeah.
they still put them out there. But out of the entire presentation,
Yeah,
like
but
I think the Animal Crossing Mario DLC was pretty exciting. That was cool. Mario Golf is coming back. Like they're doing a new Mario Golf. That's going to be really fun.
yeah.
The Skyward Sword remaster / HD remake, Splatoon 3. I don't care about at all, and I like Splatoon, but they closed out the show with Splatoon 3, which isn't even coming out until 2022.
But
That's
at least, okay.
that's if they actually get it done in time.
I root for him. I mean, my thing
Um,
is like the
that was a
Splatoon 3.
disappointing closing to me, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree, but I think there's a lot of people out there that love Splatoon.
I love Splatoon. I bought
Like I
Splatoon.
said,
I
but what I'm trying
play
to say is, what I'm
Splatoon.
trying to say is like I feel like in their eyes, they're like, we have a lot of people that like Splatoon. This was going to be a good announcement for the ending. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, would I rather have a Zelda closing or an actual like new reveal of a Zelda game, new reveal of this or a Mario game? Oh yeah, like an Odyssey 2. Oh yeah, if Splatoon 3 took over Odyssey 2 for Mario, I'd be like, hire me on as the marketing manager here because I think I can make you guys a little bit more money.
Again, I'm not a Splatoon hater. I like Splatoon. I've
Oh,
played.
trust me, I know you like Splatoon.
I've played all the Splatoon games. Right, I have them. They're fun.
Yes,
I just think that you're gonna close out the presentation with a game that's not coming out for almost 2 years. It didn't really look even that much different than the other game, other than you could like pick your gender and you could change stuff about your squid. Cool, I guess. Like that doesn't get me hyped. I feel like that could have been something.
Yeah.
They highlighted Monster Hunter Rise, which, by the way, they revealed nothing new about the game that we didn't already know, that they haven't already that they themselves have not already told us.
Sure.
I like how they did announce the new Zelda Joy-Cons. They kind of just like threw that in there with the game, but it wasn't like a big deal. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing things like Zelda Joy-Cons. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. By the way, they're sold out everywhere already. If you didn't get them, go on eBay. They have a bunch of sets up there for about $200, and you can get a set. I got lucky and got one. I went ahead and already pre-ordered it. I was on their minutes when Wario64 on Twitter. Wario64, if you're out there watching, we love you, buddy. I think that there was other things that they could have closed it out with. I'm not upset that they showed Splatoon at all. I just think that it was lame that that's what they ended the show with. And here's why it was lame. So we knew that they weren't going to show anything Pokemon related because Pokemon has their own directs. We know that. We knew that Mario, everything about Mario is pretty much done right now. The 35th anniversary, I think all that stuff is closing out with the Animal Crossing stuff. So they showed that. We knew that.
Do you think it could have just been a bad year for Nintendo Direct? Like,
no.
With all the anniversaries and stuff, like, you're already hyped them up. Like, you already have, obviously the Mario.
Yep, and they did, but they had a whole mini direct just on Mario. They're like, this is all the stuff about Mario that we're gonna do.
Now all you're doing is a rinse and repeat. Like, you would have been better off, in my opinion, screw Nintendo Direct this year, or put the Mario stuff in the Nintendo Direct, and just keep the mini event away.
So the last full Nintendo Direct was in September of 2019.
Yeah.
It is February 2021. We used to get a Nintendo Direct about every 6 months to a year. Usually right around E3 time was like usually when they'd make their big ones. But we usually get like 2 a year. We haven't had one in 18 months. So needless to say, I was disappointed that they not that they have to. I
agree.
Not that they have to show us everything. I'm not like that. They got to say, oh, hey, we're doing all these great games. They could at least acknowledge, hey, we know that this is happening. We are maybe thinking possibly about maybe doing something. Not even that they are.
We don't have a trailer. We don't have anything. We're just going to let you know on some insiders.
Like, when's the last time we've heard anything about Metroid?
They don't want to talk about it. It's a touchy subject.
They don't, because they had to scrap their entire game and start over, right?
But hey, you know what? If they give us a great game, nobody's going to give a shit.
And I'm sure it will be great.
And
which is why they scrapped it and started over to begin with. Because
the same thing with the Sonic movie. They scrapped the whole Sonic movie, and then they brought it back, baby. It was like, let's go.
They had the whole story elements of the game done, but they didn't like the way that the development was going. They scrapped it and started over. Like the guy, I don't remember his name, the lead developer of Metroid, he comes out and says, hey guys, we know we said Metroid, and we said it was going to happen. Just kidding. We didn't like where it was going. And they came out and they said, we screwed up. They owned their mistake.
Where's my Metal Gear Solid? That's what I need. I need another Metal Gear Solid.
And like, I respect that, right?
I need old school PS2 Metal Gear Solid. Snake.
But again, Metroid is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. They made no acknowledgement that even was a thing. I'm not saying you have to give us a new game. You could have at least said, hey guys, it's the Metroid 35th anniversary this year. Happy 35th. But they didn't even acknowledge it, They could have said, I don't know, re-released our Metroid and Super Metroid both on the Super Nintendo store, like the NES store. I don't know if they are.
I have no idea.
Maybe. If they aren't, they could have did that. That alone could have been something, right? Like, here you go, here's some Metroid. Or highlight it, like, hey, you guys should go play these games that are on the NES online. Donkey Kong, celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. Donkey Kong.
See, it's like so not fair. Like, all the shit that's going on this year, like, you can't win. You can't put out enough games.
No, you can't. And COVID like really hurt, and I like that they showed a bunch of these like other third party games and stuff, but
Yeah.
Fall Guys for the Switch, you're about 6 to 7 months too late. No one cares anymore. Apex Legends, you're at least a year late for that. Like no one cares.
So
I was more excited, no lie, and you're gonna laugh at me. Out of all the weird things that they showed, No More Heroes 3 is gonna be a hot steaming pile of garbage. I'm sorry for anyone that's really excited about that. It's going to suck. I'm sorry. The last No More Heroes was really bad. I just don't see how this is gonna improve because it looks almost exactly like the last one that came out that was really bad.
mhm,
No more news on Breath of the Wild, but again, I'm kind of expecting a Zelda like a direct at
correct.
some point where
Gotcha.
they kind of cover at least Breath of the Wild.
Gotcha.
Um, so it was disappointing.
So
And you know what got me really hyped? There was two things that got me hyped more than anything, and this is how sad the direct was. Are you ready for this? What do you think the two things besides Zelda and Mario, obviously, that I thought were the most interesting out of the whole direct?
I wouldn't even know.
The DC Superheroes Girl game. Who is this marketed towards?
DC superhero girls.
Here's why this was interesting. I don't even know who would buy this game.
I know what you think.
I don't really know that it's based on that like I guess it's a cartoon, which
Don't
I
know.
had to look up. I didn't know anything about it. I had to do some research before the show.
Again, you got me.
But at least like it looked really close to the source material, and it's all like Wonder Woman and Batgirl and Supergirl and then that's cool.
I'm just happy that out of all things, even aside from the Nintendo Direct, we got the spoiler we've been waiting for. Classic WoW is extending their expansion to Burning Crusade.
But we knew that it was going to happen, right?
It's gonna. I think they'll cut it off at Wrath.
They said that they would go up to Wrath if the players wanted it.
I think that's the two best expansions.
I agree, and I'll be honest.
Top two.
I'll probably come back with Burning Crusade because I can actually play the Druid character I want to play. Druids were beast in Burning Crusade, and Feral Druids were especially good.
I just want to run
Crusade.
Karazhan.
Yeah, let's do it. Like
Karazhan.
I'll resub and go in and replay the Burning Crusade expansion. I will do that. That was some of the most fun I ever had playing Warcraft.
My personal experience, my personal preference is they should never add it. They didn't say anything about it. Do not add level boost.
No, I don't think they're not going to.
No, I'm just saying in general. Like, don't do that. Even though there's a new expansion coming out, and don't get me wrong, everybody's gonna be hyped about Burning Crusade. It'd be no different than when Wrath of the Lich King drops. Like, people are hyped about this. You know what they need to do? They need to just automatically delete Warcraft 3 Reforged off their fucking system because that game is hot dog water.
No one wants to play that, right?
I was so excited for that game.
I was too.
And
I didn't even buy it.
No, I didn't buy it either.
Because everyone talked about how bad it was. Like they broke the classes, nothing works the way that it's supposed to.
No, he got the refund. He got the refund on how bad the game was.
That's terrible because you know that the developers put a lot of time into that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hot dog water.
By the way, the last game that I was excited about on the Direct was Miitopia.
Hey, Miitopia is awesome. I get to finally use my Mii that I made, and I don't know why I even made it.
And what's up with that? Like, why are Mii's relevant all of a sudden? They showed that in Mario Golf too, that you can use your Mii character.
They're always relevant.
They weren't though. They haven't been relevant since the Switch came out. Yeah, you could make one, but no one cares.
I mean, I agree. I mean, the only thing Mii's were used for, obviously, you could play your. No, you couldn't play your Mii. It was the yoga trainer that was in Smash.
Yeah.
But like you had Wii Sports, which is like the #1 game probably on Wii. Everybody loves Wii Sports. Which I will say, Wii Sports was ahead of its time. Like
it really was.
That is a gem.
Dude, that's like why
default game that came with the Wii.
If you go to a used video game store today, they're still selling used copies of Wii Sports for like anywhere between $15 to $20 for a game that came with the system. I actually have 2 copies of it.
Yeah,
it's dude, that thing's a slam dunk. Like out of all the games, even if you just play the bowling game, that game's worth $20.
So, you can play your Mii character in Smash currently. Yes,
you can. Yes, you can. Miitopia was never free though. I bought Miitopia.
See, I never
It was on. It
Like,
was on. It was on the 3DS,
we
and
didn't have it. I didn't personally have it. So.
actually, I think I'm like the only guy that bought it, like the full retail version of the game. What was really fun about it is I actually had other people's Mii characters on my 3DS that I had interacted with. So like I had, I think, one of your characters. I had your dad. I had my friend Cindy. I had like some people that I had interacted with in the world, and you can turn those Mii characters into characters in the game. So like you were in my party, Cindy was in my party, but I think I made your dad the villain of the story or something. And so like we were beating him up pretty
Oh,
much
that's
throughout.
uh,
But the other thing that was really neat about it was it uses all of the amiibos. Every single one. Every single one does something in the game. So
that'd be cool. Like I said, give you want to know how you want to get the people with the Mii's. Make a Mii Sims.
I don't understand why they're not doing more with it. Like if Miitopia is coming back,
I think with Miitopia, I think their goal is
bring them back.
to get Mii's to be like, because I mean, people would buy that game. People waste so much time on Sims 4, like Sims 3. It's insane, and people love that stuff.
I'm gonna do like a challenge thing. Like if Mii's become a thing, I'm gonna say design my Mii, right? Like here's a picture, turn me into a Mii. Because my character, my Mii character, I don't feel looks like me, and I see other people's Mii characters. I go, that looks just like that fucking person. So,
Yeah.
thanks for the follow, Alfredo. So,
I like Alfredo.
I actually own a Wii U. Nintendo Land was super fun.
Yep.
That game was underrated too. I mean, it wasn't like Wii Sports, but it was pretty fun.
Wii Sports was a bang.
Wii Sports is one of the best things that the Wii ever put out. Period.
Oh, by far,
Hands
by far.
down. And you know what was brilliant about it? It didn't have Mario or any of their other first party characters attached to it. It was just a thing. Like
Now I will say you cannot play the Wii at 2 a.m. on a school night because that shit is loud as hell when it turns on for the first time.
Final bit of Blizzard news, then we're gonna wrap this up. Diablo 4, they revealed the Rogue. The Clash trailer was pretty sweet. That was a lot of ears.
Yes. The other thing was
I'm gonna let you say it. Go ahead. You know what else is going on? What else is going on with Diablo?
Oh, not Diablo. I was just talking more BlizzCon stuff.
Yeah, Diablo 2 remastered.
I'm turned on now. I didn't hear that.
You hadn't heard that. You can actually play
I didn't watch it.
You can actually. I didn't watch it
snippets.
either. I had people sending me things like, "Hey, did you hear this?" I said, "Oh, sweet." So Diablo 2, it's called Resurrected. You can actually
I
play
will play
like
Diablo 2.
you actually can play it in the old school like terrible graphic settings if you want to, or you can play it in like more modern, and it looks good. I'm hoping that they changed a couple of minor things, but it looked good. It had Lord of Destruction in it, so you have the full expansion.
If it has the first, I used to love the first boss in the first act.
Yep.
First chapter. One with like the 6
Dario.
arms.
Yep, and
Yeah.
Dario. She's in it. I mean, it's the exact same game. Like you get to play it
Yeah.
again. So, am I buying that? Yes, it's $40. I don't care. That's just what it's going to cost.
Well, Hearthstone, they're doing a big overhaul on Hearthstone.
Yeah,
Change the game because it's in a bad state.
yeah. No one's playing it right now.
Yeah.
Except for the people who have made a ton of money playing it on streams.
Well, like
so.
everybody's not really playing this ladder. It's like a ladder against the AI bot type thing.
Mhm.
Weird. But yeah, big overhaul on Hearthstone.
That might, if it's interesting, I may come back to that. So, because I miss Hearthstone, but as soon as Arena came out, I knew I'd stop playing Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Oh, Diablo 2 is going to be on PCs and consoles. Every console. Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, all the Xboxes. And it's got cross progression. It didn't say cross play, but cross progression. So if you are playing on PC and you want to play with your friend on Xbox, you can do that now, which is cool. You can just transfer your character over. You got to buy the game twice, but
if they don't do the cross play, I'd be shocked. But at the same time, that might be asking a lot.
I'm fine with cross progression. I've said that before. With games
give us
like
one or the other.
With The Witcher, right? Like, so that's not a multiplayer game, but
yeah.
They added cross save to that, so I can play on Steam and I can upload it and play it on my Switch.
Yeah,
and I can do both. And they did the same thing with Divinity, which is smart.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to let me buy it once and play it everywhere, that's fine. let me buy it multiple times and save my progress everywhere. Like, I'll
I agree.
keep giving you $40 just to play it on everything. And as it is, I'll probably end up buying it on the Switch and the
agree.
PlayStation and on PC. So that's $120 you guys are gonna get from me. But
Well,
anyway, so I think that's it for news. I think we're done.
yeah, I mean, BlizzCon was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was.
It was cool.
Diablo.
It was free for everybody.
I think Diablo 2 is probably the coolest news for me, honestly.
Oh yeah, 'cause that's unexpected. Nobody expected that, I don't think.
They showed a little bit more like of the alpha of Diablo Immortal, which I guess that's still a game. They spent a lot of time on Diablo. I couldn't believe how much time they spent on day one with Diablo.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those feast or famine things, right? So like we haven't had any Diablo stuff for a while, and now they're like, "Hey, we're doing Diablo Resurrected in 2021, and Diablo Immortal is coming out in 2021, and by the way, Diablo 4 is coming out sometime probably in 2025. I don't know when that game's coming out.
Now they'll say it's coming out, and then it's coming out this year. And then 6 years down the road, we'll finally get the game.
They lied. It's not. It's
They've
never
already
coming out.
remastered the Diablo 2 twice.
Yeah, they've already remastered Diablo 2 and 3 in the definitive Ultimate Evil
extended cut,
and the Ultimate Evil Gangbang edition. It's got all the versions of Diablo just on the cover raping your character.
Diablo
with his spines.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's
I'm just kidding. Rape's not funny at all. Not even if it's fictional demons in hell. So
yeah. Well, you'll definitely go there. In other news, cue the music.
I don't have any upcoming streams this week.
Just happy Sunday. Just get out of here.
Yeah, I don't have any other streams coming this week.
Yeah, Valheim and Rainbow Six basically streams tonight through Wednesday, and then probably off for 2 days, stream one day, and then podcast.
I'll probably do Dungeons and Dragons on Thursday, assuming we play this week, and if not, I'll probably do some Magic content.
Sounds
good. And my secondary project, the Storytelling Adventure Times, most of the first episode has been written, and I have the software to record it. I'm hoping to record it sometime this week and have it up by this weekend. So I know I have kind of talked about this. I may put a sample piece up on somewhere on the internet for people to listen to and tell me how bad it is before we do the full-on release. I also got to get my podcast site set up. I haven't done that yet.
Well, you got a lot to do. A lot of time.
I have some things to do.
All right. Well.
Anyway, we're done.
Right,
Game's over.
Have a good one, everybody. Episode 81 is in the books. Stay nerdy, San Diego. We love you. Veer Coach and Nick Displays Games are signing off.
We're out of here.
For one last time.
Not bad. An hour and 10 minutes that time.
Oh, I got to show you this video. Are we still live?
Yeah, but we're going off the air now. Bye.
The way you made it sound was you already cut it off. No.